Alright, we are here today with our next video, and today I'm going to tell you the number 1 and 2, the top 2 biggest lies and misconceptions in the fitness, diet, weight loss industry. And I don't care who you talk to, whether it's a fitness celebrity, a magazine, on the news, an expert, a guru, they all say the top 2 steps to burning fat, losing weight and burning fat are what? I know you've heard them. What do they always say the top 2 steps are? Well, I'll tell you. They always say eat less, and they always say exercise more. Well, I'm here today to tell you that's absolutely false. That's incorrect. In fact, I am the only person out there. There's nobody else has ever said this, has been bold enough to take this stance. I actually believe that you should eat more food and exercise less if you want to burn fat. I'm the only person out there that takes that stance, that proclaims that from my platform. There's no one else that says that. And right now, I'm sure you're thinking to yourself, how can this be possible? How can he possibly say that? And it's important we define what demographic we're talking about, okay? I'm not telling people that are the couch potatoes, that are drinking beer and eating fast food all day, that they need to eat more and exercise less. If you're a couch potato, you're not doing any exercise, okay? I'm referring to the people that are trying to burn body fat but can't, that are trying to lose weight and burn fat but have been unsuccessful. Those people that are at the gym, that are reading fitness magazines, that are reading fitness blogs, that are trying to live an active lifestyle. Now there's a broad spectrum of that, I know that. Some people are hardcore competitors, and some are just, go for a jog on the weekend and maybe do a spinning class. But regardless, if you're in that spectrum of people that wants to get in better shape and does want to burn some body fat, then that's who I'm talking about. Those are the people I'm talking about, because those are the people that believe the way that you lose fat and burn fat is by eating less and exercising more. And like I said, that's 100% incorrect. And let's talk some more about that. I actually believe, and I'm going to go through step 1, which is I believe you should eat more. Okay? And I believe you should exercise less. And I'm going to discuss each one of those in just a second. But one thing you want to remember is that when it comes to food is your chief weapon in the fat loss game. Food is your chief tool, your chief weapon. That's what you want to use to burn body fat. Okay? And when it comes to food, more is better. Obviously the right kinds of food. But when it comes to food, more is better. When it comes to food, more is less. Okay? When it comes to food, more is less. When it comes to exercise, less is really more. When it comes to food, less is more. Less is usually better when it comes to exercise as well. So let's talk about food first. Let's discuss this. Now, if you watched my previous video, you'll remember that all I talked about, or not all I talked about, but I had a big chunk of the previous video was on the thermic effect of digestion and why that's so important. So I'm not gonna touch on that right now, all right? Because I discussed it so much last time. But what I will do is discuss why people need to eat more, why you need to eat more food if you want to burn fat. Well, first off, I didn't say more calories. It might be more calories. You might actually eat more calories. You might need to. It depends on where you're at. But you definitely need to eat more food. You need to increase the portion size you're eating, and it will probably get bigger. In fact, the volume will increase. It will increase in size. All right? Well, why is that? Well, I'll tell you why. Because people hear from all media outlets and everywhere and fitness celebrities and magazines and everywhere, they always hear eat less. That's what the experts tell them. And so they eat less. And they eat foods that might be kind of sort of healthy. And healthy foods are usually very low in calorie. Usually. Healthy foods are lower calorie foods. And I hate using the word calorie and throwing the whole calorie thing out there, but let's just stick with that for now. When you eat lower calorie foods and you don't get enough intake or energy or calories, what happens is, as you undereat chronically, day after day after day, so on the first day, you're not eating enough food. You reduce your food. You hear it everywhere. Eat less to burn fat. Eat less to lose weight. So you eat less. And your energy deficit, I'm dropping my hand because the deficit's increasing, but your energy is getting lower. Your stored energy deficit is increasing, okay? When that happens, it might be 1 day, so it might even be 4 or 5 days. But eventually, when it gets too low, what's going to happen is you're going to binge. You're going to have a jailbreak binge and attack a bowl of granola, or you're going to attack a bowl of Cheetos, or rip and snort through a cupcake. Who knows, whatever it is, but that's what happens. You'll simply fall off the deep end. Now, watch this. This is key. People don't just eat less. The fitness folks, the folks that are trying to burn fat, that are into fitness, they hear everywhere, eat less, and they also hear, what was the other one? Exercise more. So here's what happens. Watch this. What I talked about a second ago, they eat less, and so their energy deficit is just driven through the roof, okay? And their energy expenditure, all the exercise they're doing, the spinning classes, the weightlifting sessions, the gym work, the treadmill, the Stairmaster, the hip hop class, the body pump class, they overload their energy expenditure, and the deficit has increased. Their energy deficit has increased. So even if they're just a couch potato or at a desk all day, their energy deficit is so low from chronically undereating, they're going to be starving. Then you throw in the energy expenditure, all the work they're doing, and it's so incongruent, it's not even funny. It's a mismatch. Does that make sense? They're doing their output, their expenditure level is up here, but their intake level is way down here. It's not even in the same ballpark. And when it gets this far apart, what happens? I'll tell you what happens. Your body shuts down, and it closes down, and your body emergency mechanisms go off in your brain. And your brain thinks your body is starving. It's in the desert. It's in the swamp. It's in the mountains. You're in the wilderness, and you're stranded without food. You're like, this guy's crazy. No, this is what your body thinks. Your body doesn't know if you're stranded in the desert with a can of tuna to survive off of for a week, or if you're at home on the couch watching TV. If you've undereaten this much and your expenditure is this high, your body doesn't know if you're trapped in the desert having to walk 20 miles or 50 miles for water. Or, in reality, you are intentionally underfeeding yourself and intentionally over-exercising. Does that make sense? And when this happens, survival mechanisms go off in your brain and say, whoa, body. The screeching brakes come on and say, hold on to that body fat for dear life. Hold on to it. Because your brain doesn't know where you're at. Your brain doesn't know that it's an intentional, conscious situation that you put yourself in. And you're like, well, what does that mean? What it means is that your body is hoarding and squeezing onto fat cells like Al-Qaeda insurgents. They're not coming out. They're not going to let go. Okay? And the mind of the naive individual thinks, well, I'm just going to do even more spinning classes and eat even less. And you're forcing your body to hold on and clench that stubborn, pesky body fat more and more. Okay? Does that make sense? You're not in the desert. You're not in the jungle with, a bag of peanuts to last you 3 weeks. Okay? With a 50-mile, 100-mile hike ahead of you. But your body doesn't know that. You're still hot and sweaty in the spinning class. Your legs are burning from the Stairmaster and from doing leg extensions and cable pull downs and whatever else you're doing in the gym for your weightlifting. So your body doesn't know that. So the harder you push at both ends, the harder your body fights back. And, you know, when people, this is a key point. Listen to me. Listen to me here. Can you hear me? Are you listening? All right, listen. When people have been told to do something they think works, eat less, exercise more, and they do it, and they don't get their desired results, what do? They do more of that activity. They do it even more and more and more. So people continue to eat less and less and less and exercise more and really push the limits, and your body just shuts down. And you can even gain fat and burn muscle when you get to a severe extreme. Your body pumps out cortisol and it's just a mess. Think of this. If someone takes an Advil to make their headache go away or to make their aching muscles go away, and one Advil doesn't work, what happens? Well, they take 2 or 3 more. Same thing with this, and I just went over that. I'm not going to keep going over it. My point is that when you do an activity or do something that you think is supposed to help you, in this case burn fat, and it doesn't, people tend to do more and more and more. And how do you know this? People, you know, you're asking me, how do I know this? This is what I do full time. Okay, I have dozens of people sign up with me on a monthly basis, and when they sign up, I see on their evaluation, I ask them to list what they eat and the amounts they eat on a given day, on a lifting and non-lifting day. Okay, and then I ask them what kind of metabolic work are you doing, your weight training, your exercises, the weight lifted, etc. I want to know exactly what they're doing. And probably 9 out of 10 people is severely overtraining and woefully undereating. Okay, let me give you one last example of this that'll really drive home the point, and it'll really let you know a real world working example. So it was back in 2002, and I was working as a fitness director at LA Fitness. And whenever someone signed up, I would sit down with them and I'd pull out a sheet and I'd just give them basic foods. I'd go over, you know, your healthy protein sources here, your healthy carbohydrate sources, and your healthy fat sources. And I'd show them, you know, and I'd give them the sheet, show them basic foods to eat, and, you know, on a basic, simple, effective meal plan. And what I'd always do, the first thing I'd do with people is when I sat down with them, I'd say, tell me what you ate yesterday. And the first thing out of their mouth was always the same. Can you guess it? It was always, oh, yesterday was a bad day. All right, so anyway, what would happen is, I'll never forget this. It was a 50-something-year-old woman who had 26% body fat. And 26% body fat isn't that bad, especially for a 56-year-old woman. And she sat down, and I'll never forget, she had these wire-rimmed glasses, and she was very quiet and looked at me, and I said, what did you eat yesterday? So she tells me what she ate. And her first meal was a bowl of Special K for breakfast. Her next meal was lunch, and it was a can of tuna and a celery stalk and some carrot sticks. Okay? And her last meal of the day was a cup of vegetable soup. Well, this is a woman that's 5'5", 5'6", weighs about 140, 145, but was 56 years old and had 26% body fat. And I look at that, and that's, you know, I don't have a calculator in my brain, but I can guesstimate that was probably less than 800 calories. That's nothing. And I looked at the woman and I said, you're not eating enough to keep a sparrow alive. And she looked at me and I said, you're going to simply have to eat more food. We've got to bump your calories up, get some more healthy food in you to rev up your metabolism and get your body burning fat. You're going to do some serious metabolic damage. You're not eating hardly anything. And she looks at me from behind her wire-rimmed glasses, and she says, but my dietitian said the only way to lose weight, not burn fat, but lose weight is to just cut and slash my calories. And I thought to myself, I looked back at her and I thought to myself, I've got this woman right where I want her. And I looked at her and I said, well, what's next? Cut the bowl of soup out? Then what? Go to half a can of tuna? I mean, there's nothing left to cut out. What's your goal? To eat 1 bowl of cereal a day? Is that your goal? And the woman looked back at me through her wire-rimmed glasses, and a light bulb, I could see a light bulb begin to flicker in the back of her mind. And this woman was now beginning to see the forest for the trees. And she didn't say a word. She didn't have to. My work was done with her. And there's a lot of people like that. They may not be as old as her, but they're into fitness, they're walking the treadmill, they're in the weight room, they're in the gym, and they're not eating enough. And they refuse to believe, how can eating more and exercising less possibly burn fat? Well, you got to watch my other video to understand the first part of that. But let's talk about number 2. The lie that you have to exercise more to burn fat. Let's discuss that now. Okay. People, my whole thing is that when you go to the gym or your home, wherever you exercise, it breaks down to 2 steps. Number 1, you want to perform an effective warm-up. Then you want to execute a brief 30, 45 minute training session. Then you want to leave, end the session, leave, and go have a shake. Go eat a meal. Go back to work, whatever your schedule entails. The bottom line is you want to end the session after 30, 45 minutes and let the recovery process begin. Okay? I can't tell you how many people sign up with me. And on their evaluation, and I'm going to pick on the women here for a minute, but I have so many women, and they could be in their 20s, 30s, or even 40s, and they'll sign up with me, and they'll be doing like 6 exercises for biceps. They'll be doing like 8 exercises, not sets, 8 different exercises for 3 or 4 sets each for shoulders. These are little, or sometimes big, women, 5'6", 140, 5'4", 120. I mean, whatever the heights and weights may fall. And they're severely overtraining. They're doing the training loads of one of these muscle magazines you see with some roided out, juice-head bodybuilder. They're doing the routine that he might do. Lighter weight, obviously. And I don't know where they believe these pernicious lies that they have to do all that. And anyway, so whenever you exercise, I don't care if it's a metabolic session where you're doing agility drills or sprints on the treadmill or sprints outside, or you're doing weight training, you want to always have the biggest bang for your buck. You want to have a high training economy. What does that mean? Okay, that means you want to choose 2 or 3, really 4 exercises. 4 exercises. I don't care if you're doing a full body session or you're just doing shoulders. Whatever, you choose 4 exercises, okay? And you choose exercises that have a high training economy, that deliver a big bang for your buck, okay? I'm not going to get into specifics right now. And let me back up. If you were just doing one muscle group like shoulders or biceps, which you never should do just by itself, but hypothetically, you wouldn't need 4. You could probably just do 2, maybe 3. My point is that you want to choose exercises that give you a big bang for your buck. And do 4, 6, however many sets that that entails. You don't need to do 8 exercises for biceps or 4 for shoulders or whatever it is. Okay? So my point is, I'll never forget, and this is a great take-home point here. I had a trainer ask me one time, the situation was, I always said never, and this is a different argument or different debate for a different video, but I'll touch on it. Never do your metabolic or cardio in the same session with your weights. And I'll never forget, I had a trainer ask me one time, well, what's wrong with walking on the treadmill after you lift weights to burn some extra calories? And I said, well, the goal of a weight training session isn't to burn calories. The goal of a weight training session is to stimulate the metabolic system and the musculature system, and maybe even the nervous system. Okay? When you're finished with your weight training, okay, you don't want to burn more calories. You want to start the recovery process. If you're still burning calories on the treadmill or the bike or the Stairmaster or doing extra stuff, you're prolonging, you're putting off. You're putting the recovery process on hold. Okay? Listen very carefully to this, and listen to this, absorb this, trust what I say, and obey what I say right now, because this is the take-home driving linchpin of this video. You don't build muscle and burn fat when you're working out, when you're training. You build muscle and you burn fat when you recover and when you're resting. And the most valuable, rich form of recovery is sleep. That's why when you go to bed at night and you wake up the next morning, you're 1 or 2 pounds less, and you look in the mirror and you actually look leaner. That's why that happens. And it's crucial. Remember that. Dominate is not just a word. You understand? It's a lifestyle. And it's a mentality you have, a full mentality that's going to dictate everything you eat on your program, every way you train on your program, every minute of your program. You got me? Good. WetWolfTraining.com. Signing out.